Well, YouTube, this is the first weekend of November 2017, and we're about to find out exactly what's wrong with this 83 Goldwing and get this thing cleaned up, and let's start reassembling and see if this thing will run. This is the weekend to see if this thing will run, see if this has a future in my garage or if it's got a future in somebody else's garage. All right, here we go. Okay, I've got the timing cover and stuff off the right side of the engine, and if you've seen the early video when I first brought this bike home and I got it running, I had indicated it was only hitting on 3 cylinders, what it sounded like, and I've spotted the problem. So I'll give you a few seconds to see if you've spotted the problem, because it's pretty clear that somebody has been in here, and look at that rocker arm. Look at it. Get some light on it. It has slid over. It's not hitting on the valve. It's hitting on the retainer. Let's see. Can I move the cam? Let's see what I can do here. Oh my! Well, that's not all it. That cam is very difficult to turn right now, so it might be indication of something more. But that's what I'm looking at right now. Is that rocker arm is not hitting the valve? It's off center. It's hitting on the retainer, and the cam seems very difficult to turn, more difficult than it should be. However, remember, like I said, this is an interference engine, and maybe something's going on there. So I will continue digging, and I'll turn the camera back on if I find something else that we should chat about. I don't really think I have to take the rocker shaft off. I did the other side thinking that's what was holding it on, but let's try this again on this side, and I'll let you know if you can leave that on or if you have to remove it. Go back a little bit. Okay, we got the head off the right side, and everything I thought I would find, I found. So certainly we've had a substantial head gasket failure, not only to the water jacket ports, but cylinder to cylinder. And with the one valve not working well, this thing was just a piece of garbage. That's what it is. So I think we're full speed ahead to just start cleaning up and reassembling. Cylinders again look good. If you look at them closely with some light on it, you can still see the hash marks in the cylinder walls, which means this engine is in very good condition. There's no visible wear. There's no ring ridge at all. There's not even a carbon ridge. The thing is in great shape. So I am smiling, happy about that. Now it's a lot of cleanup, scrape gaskets, and clean up what I can clean up, what I can get to now. Just will get her clean and start reassembling new gaskets. I'm going to reuse the old timing belts for now, but I'm not even going to put timing covers on to get it running. As soon as I know this thing's running and dialed in, then we'll go after all the parts that it needs and put this thing together. I just seen this a little bit ago, like there's a clip missing on this piece of throttle linkage. This BB chain is the aftermarket Markland vacuum controlled cruise control, but there should be a clip on there. This throttle linkage was about to fall off, so I need to just give it a good look over, check every nut, bolt, and screw. I really feel like someone has had this apart. I don't know if it was an amateur that decided it wasn't a project he could tackle or what, just because like the exhaust bolts came right off. That's not typical. They usually have to fight those a little bit. But no big deal. No, the project is going as I expected. So I think we're going to call this the end of this video, because no reason for you to watch me clean all this garbage up. It's going to take hours to do that. So I will say thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing. Hit the like button, share it with friends, help me build this channel a little bit, and I would appreciate that much. And we'll keep these coming. We'll catch you later. Well, it's a little later in the evening. I've got both heads back on, the intake manifolds back on, the crossover, new O-rings, all that stuff. Still got a little way to go. I'm to the point now where I'm gonna put the timing belts on, and I thought I would just share how to do that. There probably is a lot of videos and stuff on YouTube about changing timing belts, and some good information and stuff there about, you know, bringing this up to top dead center and marking the crankshaft out here in front, and bringing your timing gears to where this says up, and then you've got a mark here on the timing case, lines up with a mark on the gear. But you know, I've just got this motorcycle, and I've already found all kinds of things that were not done properly, so I'm not taking any chances about if the timing was correct when I got it. Let's just start from scratch and make sure it's done correctly. So what you got to do is, I'll get a light here, is reach in there, and you see that plug, this plug that I have removed from the top of the engine case there. And by the way, I used this crowbar, screwdriver crowbar thing, because it's got a nice wide deal on it. That's what that plug looks like, and it fit that really nicely. Nice and wide and heavy and deep, unlike a screwdriver. And the mark we're looking for is T1. I think you can see in there okay. T1, that means it's top dead center on number 1 cylinder. Of course, it doesn't matter because of about like compression stroke or whatever, because we don't have the belts hooked up yet. We'll determine if that's compression stroke right now when we put the belts on it. So let me put you up on a stand here, and we'll just do one belt here real quick. And yeah, go from there. So we got a note here that says up. Put my light over here. And then we've got a mark out here on the edge of the timing gear, which will mark or align with the mark on the timing cover approximately right there. So we've got our belt. These are the old belts, the used belts, but want to make sure this thing runs before I throw a bunch of money at it. So parts and all. So keep the bottom belt tight. It is going to have to line up with the grooves there. And then just bring it around to the top. I've got the adjuster loose, but I left the bolts in it. Yeah. Let me do that, see if I can slip it under the adjuster. Need my light in there, it's blinding me. Oh, that's the problem. Okay, let's slip back down on it. The crankshaft pulley. Sorry, I'm kicking you. And this is one of those things you're going to check and double check and triple check. And all that goodness. So we've got it routed. We're going to double check if that's a timing mark is still there and that I haven't moved the crank, which I have not. We're still on top dead center. And by the way, what I've done is use a, what size is this? 19 millimeter open end wrench to turn the bolt on the front of the crank to turn the engine. You can also use a socket on the back of the engine, but you've got all this off. It's just as easy to do that. Double checking again. Marks lined up. We're still in the up position. So now we need to tension the belt. Let me get a socket here. Or, yeah, socket. I think it needs to be a 12 millimeter socket to tighten up the tensioner bolt. And make sure that you can see this okay. We're going to move you in here just slightly. So you can see the tensioner. There's a little spring on the bottom of it. And believe it or not, the spring tension is all that you really need. But what you need to do is take the slack out of it. So we want to be sure the bottom is tight. So we'll just, I know I've rotated things a little bit. We'll have to reset that. Then I'll just push the tensioner down and then let go of it. Everything is now tensioned properly. It doesn't have to be any tighter than that. So let's tighten her up. That one's snug. Get the other bolt. That's good and snug. And there we go. So we got one cam on it, or one cam belt on it. I will get the other one done. They are properly tensioned. Remember what I said? Check, double check, triple check. Or just triple check our marks. Obviously still says that. Up. Our timing mark is lined up. And we're still relatively on our timing mark. I'm going to bring this back around. It's moved slightly on T1. Remember, we're setting the flywheel at T1. That's our timing mark for number 1 cylinder. Everything is still good. Everything is great. So I'll put the other belt on, and then I'm going to turn the engine over, and then I'm going to double check it again. Okay? Check it, double check it, triple check it. Remember, these are interference engines. You don't want to get this wrong. Okay, and I'll get you back here in a little bit. Okay, we've fast forwarded to Sunday morning. It's November 5th. Popped out here this morning to put some oil in it. I let the oil drain all night. Isn't that ugly? Very ugly. I did not have an oil filter for it. Evidently, when I sold my last one of these vintage wings, I let everything go. I think I gave them the repair manual and all the filters that I had and stuff like that, thinking I would never have another one. Well, I guess I was wrong. So I have it together. I have oil in it. I just left the filter out. I had some oil that a friend gave me. I'll just use it. We'll run it, warm it up a couple times, dump it out, flush it out. If everything works well, I have a bunch of parts to order today. That'll include tires, timing belts, fuel filter, fuel lines, oh gosh, maybe even some upholstery, the rear master cylinder kit, just piles and piles and piles of parts to go from one end to the other of this machine this winter and make it good to go. So again, I haven't put the timing covers on it yet because I guess got to come back off to put new belts on it if she runs. So this is where we're at. I have rigged a battery to this with some big cables direct to the starter solenoid. I got a battery charger on it because I'm not sure if that... Yeah, battery's probably pretty good. I have the fuel pump connected. These have mechanical fuel pumps. I have it routed to a gas can pending replacement of the fuel lines and clean out the fuel tank and so forth. So we're about ready to crank this thing and make it go. It'll crank for a while because it has to crank fuel up to the carburetors from that gas can, and I hope that setup will work. So I'm going to set you up on a tripod here, and together we're going to see if this thing will start. Let me get you a view possibly that doesn't have you blinded by the window. How's that? Not bad. Okay, I still got it all the way up on the lift, so I need a stool to reach that high. Battery, neutral, oil. Oh, there's no coolant in it, so we won't run it very long. If it runs good, then we'll just run it a few minutes, and we'll put some coolant in it so we can run it longer. Okay, bud, here we go. You said you wanted to run, so we know she'll crank for a while. I don't think I've picked up any starter fluid yet, so we're just going to have to crank it till she's got fuel. Not running very good. Still is not hitting on a couple of cylinders there. Where is that burning off of? Where's my light? Off the headers there. Yeah. So it's only hitting on like a couple cylinders. It seems like they were chasing that issue before I got it, seeing as how they changed out the coil and all the wires, all the coils and all the wires. I am going to pop this valve cover off on the right side and see if I got valve action. Remember, I had that one rocker arm that had slipped off the valve. Let's see if we have any issues over here. Well, it's still okay. I don't know what's going on here. But let me shut you off, and I'm going to research a little bit and see if the spark plug wires and stuff are all going to the right holes and experiment with that just a little bit. The rocker arms are still functioning okay. I think they're fine. I might turn the engine over just a little bit and make sure that they have some lash, that we're not holding a valve open. But it's definitely on 2 or 3 cylinders right now. We'll turn you back on a little bit. Well, we're back. I've had some a set of spark plugs on the shelf. Interesting, I got rid of all the filters. Upside down. But I kept a set of spark plugs, so I threw a set of spark plugs in it. The old ones didn't look too bad, but who knows how old they are. So that seems like a reasonable step. I put the valve cover back on over there. The valves seem fine at this time. Let's try again. Come on. 4 cylinders this time. I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. I think we're on the right track here. This thing's been sitting a while. The carburetors are probably a little jacked. I think it's probably time to put some coolant in this thing and run it longer. Obviously, it still has a lot of moisture in the crankcase. She wasn't smoking. No weird noises. Burning off a lot of garbage off the exhaust. I'm going to open the door real quick before we all choke to death. Hang on for the noise. So, I think that's next. I got to figure out how to reach a funnel down and get coolant in this thing so we can run it for a little bit longer. Let's start it up one more time. Run it for just another few seconds. Okay, we're gonna get there with this thing. Probably gonna need to get some kits and go through the carburetors on it eventually, but we'll run this thing for a little while today and see how she improves a little bit. Maybe we'll throw some seafoam in the carburetors and see if we can break up some of that and improve how it runs. In case we want to test drive it before we go after the rebuild. Anyway, kind of rambling a little bit. I'll check back with you in a little while after I figure out how to get some coolant in this thing. The radiator's a little bit buried in these. It's been a long time. We'll figure it out, get some coolant in it so we can run it for a while. Maybe we'll let the lift down, clean up the stuff, and let this thing run until it gets good and warm. All right. We're making progress, though. I think the plugs was the right move. I was questioning the firing order of the spark plug wires on the right side, but they must be okay. It runs too good to have those things crossed. So, all right, check back in a little bit. All right, we're back. I got coolant in it, so still cautiously optimistic. Now, getting coolant in it and stuff kind of splashed some, spilled some, all kinds of that stuff happening. So now we just need to run it, warm it up good, and cautiously optimistic. We'll see what happens. Almost idle. Not quite idle. get a bungee cord and tie the throttle up a little bit. Bungee cord. To hold it forever. Could be just full of it too. I don't know what to do, but just let it run. That's the side the head gasket was out in. Woo! Getting better or worse? Doesn't even sound good out the right side. Yeah, it's certainly not normal. Smoke? Tried to smell it. It's not really smoke, it's steam. Not real good, is it? Up the overflow. Ooh, it's hard to be in there. Eyes burning. We better shut it off, air the place out for a minute. Let it. Whew, my goodness. That's bad. Woo. Well, it was certainly not what I was hoping for. But, I guess we're not done with this project yet, are we? Okay, let me let this place air out. We'll dig in. I'll get back to you. Well, we kind of started off optimistic, but cautious. We're a little more optimistic than cautious now. Let's fire in a hole here. Ouch. So we're not steaming out the exhaust like we were, so I think we've determined that the exhaust was full of antifreeze. And it's running okay. I think we'll go after sinking the carburetors and things like that. We still got some steam from the radiator, but I leaked all over. So got a little carburetor work to do, but I think we're okay. So thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, and we'll catch you on the next video, all right?